All right, here we go again. Buckle up.
You are listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
So before all that cam stuff became big, the government had been blocking me from women for a good probably again, I was married, marriage fell apart, tried to start seriously dating when we were separated because it was taking so long to get married or divorced. Again, the deep state was part of that. So I would say that was probably I started about 2003, but I had been my marriage was killed and I was sexualized at least 10 years prior to that. So like in the 90s it started. And some might say it even goes back to my childhood in some ways. Right, there's a possibility that one of those families existed around my family. Could have been a CIA person, could have been anybody. And they actually attacked my childhood. That's what the latest came up. Because other family members were involved before it did serious damage to my life in things happening to them, which are deep state. My uncle was taken out by the deep state. There's no doubt. Bubby even hinted, of course she didn't call it the deep state. So my whole goal to go to cam girl world was maybe to get woo one of them away, and I knew nothing about it, and I had been alone and sex. They're bringing like adults and young girls and gay men and this and that past me in Naples the whole time I lived there. So I knew I couldn't physically get there. I thought, as far as people in the community, I thought maybe I could go overseas and have something happen. So again, most of my time was just sending money because they said they had some grief. But while I was there, I began to wonder whether there were like pimps involved. And I started saying things. And again, I knew the deep state was watching. So again, the deep state's watching. There's some real cop somewhere. So I started working it. And, I never gave up the hope that maybe I could make one feel special enough that she would give it up. And yeah, I never got to that point of actually one I did, and she didn't want to do it. And they again, they're metaphysical, they're physical, they have my family's head, and that's physical and metaphysical and psychological. So I'd hope that that could happen. So I was really enamored with some of the Romanian ladies. And again, I was from a Romanian family, partially Romanian, but also my stepfather was Romanian, and so was his mother, and they lived with us when I was a kid. And I started wondering, and then one woman told me she was in Poland, and then at a certain point she held up like a $5 bill, not knowing that I was watching. So again, that started piquing my interest. Then I didn't get too far. Again, one of the things it's like with this Australia woman who has the disease, the neurological disease, and you see me share her stuff every so often, but I can't stay there because I can't talk to her. And it's not selfish. It's just if I can't talk to her, I mean, I'll heal her, I'll pray for her, but I can't stay there and watch that all day without interacting with her and trying to fix some of what I see. And I think I could actually, if she was my neighbor, I could. She'd be a hell of a lot better. She needs somebody physically. She needs a physical therapist with her all day, on and off. So we would study what to do. Do different types of manipulations and massages and things like that. That's that's just intuitive, and of course, it's probably coming from people that have dealt with people with that particular physical ailment. And I want you to go through the ups and downs of the psychology, and I can help her with that also. But she's in Finland, and That's the way Satan plays it. She's very needy, but I sent a message. I don't know. You got a deep state would probably block it anyway, but I don't know if she got it or not. And I just said, if you need to, just talk to me, and I'll probably send some more messages down the road. But I don't think she's really talking to people all that much. And somebody may be like torturing her, like blocking her from people that could help her. That happens also. It's not always about you because there's other deep state victims. So I was online, and one of the things I powered was an investigation into that. The Tates hadn't arrived in Romania yet. Right. But when I move in a certain direction, it stays that way, and then I give it to other people if I can't do anything with it. And that's generally an inside thing, but I've done things outside also like that. And what it is if, again, I can't interact with somebody and throw money at them if I don't have a real, at least friendship with them. I would say relationship, but at least friendship, because it's sad to really watch. Again, it's not all sex. If you go online, it's not all sex, and some of it is no. You just sit around and bullshit all day sometimes, and that's it. But trying to find somebody that's real, they harassed a lot of people. I didn't figure it out, but they harassed a lot of people around me because I couldn't figure out what was the mood swings were about until I figured it out. It's funny. One of them called me Le. Actually means law. Right. And of course, LE, law enforcement, is the initials. I don't know if she was being, thinking I was actively. I wasn't when I got there. I just was looking for somebody that I could be friends with and talk to. Again, not talking to women all day. And then you end up talking to their women because they're the only ones they let you talk to. And then that's a bullshit conversation, usually with a punchline at the end that is essentially an F. And they F you at the end of it. Now, Mars Service sick people, man. I don't want to hear that you save children. I know what's up if you're doing what I say you're doing. Again, I can't tell from where I am if it's merely, residual bullshit. And no, I'm not obsessed over something that happened years ago. It's still happening. And like I said, the shadow government that they say was, and I was the one that told them that the shadow government was running in 2016, 17, and 18. No matter who took credit for it. It's still running. There's no doubt. Or anybody that does this to me would be in prison. So again, your shadow government is still running. I don't believe Trump's part of it, but it is still running from this administration. And it includes federal, state, and local officers who have been corrupt for decades. Including that, what's her name? Was it a Casey or something? Who was the attorney general that got arrested? That's a deep state scam she was running. Right. No, it's one of the Pennsylvania families. Kane family. When Casey was Kane. That she was deep state. And Montgomery County listened enough to figure it out. That was like the first case. That well, maybe I thought maybe she wasn't U.S. family. I mean, let me take a look. Oh, she was a Scranton person. But again, you can't. I thought she was. Maybe I confused her with the Casey family. Yeah, I mean, all the cases she prosecuted, there's no reason for her to do that kind of shit. Right? It's deep state. Somebody approached her and told her to do it. Right? But again, once you do that, the deep state comes back, and then people don't do it because they're afraid that something will happen to them. Right? They attack certain people. So, long story short, it's funny because this case with the Tates won't die, and I'm wondering if it's that thing I started years ago. I mean, the evidence is the evidence. If the UK has the evidence, then they have the evidence. If they don't, then it shouldn't be the warrant shouldn't be extradition. Shouldn't be honored, regardless of what it is. But yeah, she was deep state. Right. There's another case I see there where she's probably deep state. I mean, they're lifelong criminals, man. They're career criminals. A lot of people that career law enforcement were actually career criminals, and that's how they got away with it. Well, at a certain point, it became apparent that the deep state was involved. I mean, I got it to the point where a woman wanted to marry me, and she was afraid that she wasn't good enough for me, which meant it was real. Now, could I have been killed? Yeah, you could be killed anywhere. I knew to get her out of, well, she's in Medellin, I think, to get her out of there as soon as possible. Right. And so I don't know, the place by the beach. I don't remember what it's called anymore. So I was looking for I found I believe I found a rental. I'd have to go through a lot of process. I'm going to be ripped off. But I believe I found a rental at Cartagena, and then I would take her and her sister Cartagena so we could. But they started gaming me, sexualizing me, and then pulling her away from me. It was just insane. Right? It was CIA, man. So it involved drugging. Naples, Florida runs on CIA corruption. Bunch of scumbags. Oh, but we're conservatives and we go to church. Enough of that. These every time I look at these columns, FDR keeps coming up. Let me little column pedestals I bought. I think they're the perfect size. I think if I build a frame off a tube, I have to get the letters changed to size. I don't even know how she could come up with those, over 4-inch letters from what I said. Because I said they're 3-inch letters, right? Which means some would be 3, some would be 2 and 7/8. Some would be, all the maximum size would be 3, except for one letter. Again, the evidence says the Marshal Service is involved somehow. Well, they get paid for it, man. Come on. They're not altruistic at all. At all. They'll walk away from a young person that's sex trafficked in a second to keep themselves gaming. Right. That's a scam they developed years ago. We'll be the heroes, but yet we'll be making money off of the scam. That's the way they are, man. So again, part of keeping your people alive in government is not allowing that bullshit. It's sin for a season. And of course, there's another 100 who didn't have that happen to them. But again, if you don't care, then God knows you don't care. You see how that works? Doesn't take much. A lot of the women that I approached in life to talk to, and wasn't a whole bunch, but they prayed to God for somebody. Then when it came to crunch time, the deep state won them over. They'll spend time in hell. So again, they know the Antichrist side of things. The scripture tells you, Rabbi Saul says, if you are sexual and you need to take care of that thing, then you need to get married. Now, people will say, well, marriage is the answer, but equally yoked is also required. And no, the Marshal Service and the deep state is not the judge of equally yoked. They know that in their sexual scam that they have to keep you from being married and even dating. They're sickos, man. They're the biggest devils. And they ran, we're saving the kids. But the kids we would not have that many lost kids without these people. And of course, I'm the first person during the first Trump administration that said, hey, there's sex trafficking these kids. That's what it looks like. It looks like third parties that the kids don't even know are picking them up. And I was killed for it. But yet the people that killed me were part of the government. And what did they get paid? Well, the government's involved with it. Yeah, they use punks and drug users and drug dealers on the street. But the big daddy's a government daddy, a spy master in reality. Then you all come along, oh, Nick Shirley's the original. It's the Trump account. All you have to do is prosecute the case that came against all the people that came against me. You have the biggest case in the history of the world. There's more evidence for that than any other case you've ever prosecuted or ever will prosecute. I said what Nick Shirley found, I told you it existed more than 10 years prior. You have to realize we have people that are in prison for sex crimes that never would have had one issue such as that in their life had it not been for these government employees and their scumbag cronies in sex trafficking, narcotics distribution, racketeering, organized crime, illegal betting, so on and so forth. Years ago, there was a deputy that actually started dating like the defendant's daughter or something. It was mafia. And he got in a lot of trouble, but I'm thinking, they got their own mafia. What are they talking about? Again, they may have caused it. They may have isolated that person, and that causes that. They know. They wouldn't keep going if they didn't succeed after doing it to somebody for 40 years. After their mind kind of slipped a little bit in their 70s. They're sick, man. They're the worst of the worst. They are the devils that bring this to this planet. The best thing you do is get the hell away from me so you don't even project anything. So you don't receive the plagues. You're still young, a lot of you, because I know, they go, Larry, these guys that are, and gals that are doing it to you, when you were in the Marshal Service, they weren't even in high school. Yet they think they developed everything. They are the power. If you watch government and watch my posts, you'll watch agents in government know that if they piggyback back on something I speak about, that they go up and their investigations do wonderful. But yet what? They don't stop the deep state from attacking the person that tells them how to do this stuff. I'm one of the fathers of the Air Mobile DHS. Me backing it would get you congressional assistance. I don't know where it is anymore, but it used to. No, we got it on our own power. We're big. You're all just boomers. You'll see boom, believe me. Again, I'm not speaking about physical violence. As always. I never stopped working a day in my life. But you forced me not to be able to get to work. I'm owed billions just on my work. Because I turn out more work than your piece of shit contractor, your $100 million spycraft contractor operations. With 50 spies employed. Simply me waking up your officers is probably worth $1 billion. Since nobody in the world does that. Oh no, when you went to the Sikhs, they woke you up and told you everything. When you went to the Hare Krishnas, they woke you up and told you everything. They were instructed not to tell me anything. Because of course I would find out that they were anti-Cs. The same as the Marshal Service. I never thought about it when I was in there. I taught myself everything. But of course, all the glory to God, I can't teach myself without God teaching me. They never taught me anything. It's a scam. They all know the scam, man. They all dialed in with how to increase their life and play their game out. So they dump all this work on you when you're the victim, hoping you take a gun and blow your head off or try to shoot someone else and they can kill you. Along with the other stuff they're doing, of course. Then when the judges write these letters saying, wow, this guy's gangbusters, they all get mad all over again. F him, get him. That's how I know the case about Wayne Ritchie, Deputy U.S. Marshal, I think in the 1960s, under MK Ultra drugging is true because that's their personality. Every last one of them is a piece of shit narcissist, exactly like the person that drugged Wayne Ritchie. When I read the evidence as to what was said by the rogue CIA, allegedly rogue CIA officer, and again, probably not rogue, probably situation normal. I knew it was all true right away. I said, there's Rick Henry and Karen Shelton and Chief Quick. That's the piece of shit they were. Go read his words. And know that he's going to drug a deputy U.S. Marshal that carries a firearm because of his little outburst. Can't deal with people. Want to be a narcissist. Well, if you involved yourself, and you probably did, you got one of your deputies killed, and you should be fired for it, even if you're the director. You don't come after a legend like me and not expect something to happen to you. I give a shit if you fear everybody into directly paying me. I can give a shit. Obviously, they probably didn't have the right equipment either. Well, we didn't want to look like ICE. People don't like us looking like that. There is some talk about ICE members being involved in the deep state. Of course, it's not all of them. And that may be why Bavino was put out, because he's not deep state. Mm-hmm. Well, that's your problem. Wake the F up. Yeah, you promise side job, side money. Get to hang out with the task force people that they worship. The U.S. government is personality worship. You'll never get me to worship Trump. I'll help him as long as he does the right thing, or at least partially does the right thing. There isn't a president in history that I haven't helped. Actually, when they were executing me and I was beginning to wake up, I was trying to figure out how to get the messages I was seeing in the Bible to the president, George Bush. And I figured if I showed him enough in the patterns of what I was reading, that quite possibly he and his people, again, like Sears, could chart the course forward. So when I'm thinking that, I go to work, and little girl says to me, this is how weird it is, says to me, oh, you're all dressed up. You going somewhere? I have no idea what slant she meant by that, because she's not going to say anything nice. But you see, Satan taunting. You could have created war plans out of if I taught you how to read the Bible. That's over 24 years ago, 25 years ago. Actually, 24. 23, 24. Actually, no, I'm wrong. Come on. So it's 26. That would take me back 20 years. Probably 22 years, something. Instead, they're going to psyop me and make me believe I'm a sinner because God's revealing things through his word, the Bible. It's not their word. It's not their book. It's not their God even. They worship Satan. But they felt a need to make me believe seeing from the Almighty through Scripture is somehow corrupt, including Johnny Hughes and his cronies in that church. Their whole scam. Oh, he's nobody. We taught him everything he knows. They taught me nothing. They sat me in a corner, fed me shit, and expected me to blow my brains out. Absolute garbage and shit. Communist bastards and bitches, even if they tell you they're the biggest conservative. So the whole socialism thing was a scam. Their plan is authoritarian communism. It's not a political term. It's a Cold War term. It's a dire end of all we know term. If United Kingdom's not careful, I mean, they're risky over there. They've already gone with Ireland round and round, getting each other killed on their own turf. Part of leading is not causing that or allowing that to happen. Again, I tried to show Israel how not to allow October 7th to happen. But it's not only their fault. And this far forward of it, we need to get forward. So Palestinians can't go back. You don't. The problem is October 7th ruined the thought of a two nations or two separate states. Because what, are you going to get a state and do that all over again? And maybe better next time? Well, there's no more Hamas. Oh, yeah, you fooled us. Again, it's unfortunate. I fought for at least a movement forward to legitimize Palestinian government. Because again, it's a third world crony government. But at a certain point, when you launch a combat operation that includes aviation into Israel, it's over. I told you to get rid of Hamas for years. I told Israel, I said, or somebody link up with Fatah, make them a power, and have them kick Hamas's ass out of the Palestine. And really, what the best, and this is probably where it would win anyway under the Bush plan. Right. We could have legitimized that government, and they would have been legitimate. And then we would have said in the government of Israel that there is a district, a state, a region that we call Palestine, but it's like Pennsylvania is in the United States. Right. So they would have autonomy, they have representation beyond what's going on now. But again, it would be a mensch, not a mashugana. But again, spy technology to get there. Now, spies can't operate outside of the framework that they're given, theoretically, unless they're rogue, and that may have happened. I don't know. So again, you're all nobody, man. In fact, most of what you have given, or not most, some of what you've given CIA officers and FBI officers and others medals for and awards for were based upon my, I don't know what you would call it, my intelligence. Well, that type of operation is deep state. That's what deep state is. Give all the credit to the deep state and give no credit to anyone else, even if it is their stuff. I don't care. I'm immortalized in heaven. They have trust in me. When we do that prayer every day, I kind of just push it away because I don't take that type of stuff easily. I don't need earthly commendation or even heavenly commendation. Job satisfaction is enough for me. But again, there are limits on what you allow to happen to me while I'm engaged in that work. But they have put their trust in me. I'm heaven's man on earth. Been that my whole life without even knowing it. Didn't know what was going on in your heads. Didn't know you were so shitty. We always have this, I guess, unless you're, awakened and things like that. And you always have this idea in your head that everybody else has almost the same mind, but they don't. Some are very evil. And again, people that appear very evil physically were caused to be evil by the people I speak about, metaphysically, psychologically, and physically. So again, the Tates and all that may be a continuation of that thing I powered sometime, I guess, 2012 or something, maybe even earlier. I powered it through 2010 through something like 12 or 13. So one of the things you do, you just wait around in those, if you think a pimp's involved or something like that, eventually you'll hear other voices. Or you might, not every case, but that's where I scored. And that's where I got worried about the woman that I was going to see, because there was a man that I heard. I know he wasn't like a significant other or anything like that, but I was wondering who that was. And again, of course, they have friends and other people. But one day, again, like I'll bring it up. So I wasn't sure about it. I'm just like, okay, you want to get married? I'm going to help you whether we get married or not, as long as we have a cordial relationship. It doesn't mean it have to be sexual or anything like that. Right. And one day we get online and she takes the camera. She's like getting dressed in the morning or something like that. She wasn't naked or anything like that. Yeah, she had like her undergarments on or something like that. And she takes the camera and she starts moving it. And I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, look. Like, what? She goes, you still want to come here? I don't have my makeup on. So any woman that's going to be worried about you meeting you without her makeup actually would, at least at first blush, be serious. And again, if you look at my photos from that time period, obviously I should have been able to marry somebody. It's not out of spite. Out of evil is why they did it. They didn't do it out of spite. They did it out of evil. They are evil. They will always be evil, and they will spend time in hell because they are evil. It isn't like rubbing Buddha's belly. You don't get to go, Jesus, 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 and then everything goes away and you're saved. When you're a devil, that is. I know you can still be a big sinner, but when you're a devil, you're the one that causes other people to fall through metaphysical methods by imposing your will, by imposing physical conditions that no way people could succeed within. And again, that's not, oh, Trump cut off this program and cut off that. Anyway, nobody even knows where the money went all those years. I mean, this is horrible. I know I struggled. I know other people struggled that were disabled. Because to get forward to the deep state, you need to have more money. It's just the way it is. And of course, a lot of other people had less money than me, but I shared some of my money with them. Now, one of the things that happened since I woke up, because they'll go, well, you said this, and now you say that. It's representative of what's going on at the current moment. Right. Again, people of color have decided that they would partake in the witchcraft of the mind or otherwise. Therefore, you lose that credit you had for having been victims of witchcraft. It's simply, again, I'm not with the white supremacists, so we have to say superior because they'll attack us. Because we can form a world where none of it happens. Right. But that's the point. That if you were in power, you would do the reverse, like Mamdani. He's just proved it. You would disenfranchise people that aren't people of color. I mean, it's very simple. Two wrongs don't make a right. Again, sometimes we need to administer a little tough love so that is when, oh, Amazon. Amazon's here. How nice. Who's the number 2 in the Marshal Service? I don't know her. Hopefully she's not deep state. Because number 2 came up, that's all. This looks familiar, actually. Oh, you just go to the Marshal Service Academy now for criminal investigator and deputy U.S. Marshal training. Michigan in 98. Salt Lake City. I don't know. She looks kind of familiar, but maybe not. Doesn't look like it would be her. But it could be. You know, inspectors knew when I was on assignment, they could leave me run everything if they needed to. Not that they always did, but every so often they just knew. I could let this guy do everything. I could sit back and drink a beer. Like, been like that in the military too. But yet deep state comes along and they make the deals. Everybody playing their game out. Problem is the game has a price to pay. And when you get into the afterlife, y'all go to hell. But I arrested all the bad guys. Well, it's your mind in this lifetime and outside this lifetime that caused them to fall. You're responsible. It's in your account. Their crimes and sins are in your account. It's broke and you should have tried to fix it. Trying to see here if anything makes sense. So again, don't play games and deputies won't get shot. Don't say you're investigating and you're actually stalking. I actually accused them online of stalking me. I don't know if anybody saw it. I could have been isolated at that point in like 2000 or something, or maybe after that, like 2000. It's probably after 9/11, 2002, 2000, something like that. 2002. Oh wait a minute. I thought I was in. I may have still been in church. The other church, like New Freedom. I can't remember exactly when, but early on, I accused them of stalking me. And then it got really bad because they were stalking me. And there are cases, I don't know if there's still any record of it, or was there ever generated a record of deputies stalking other deputies under the guise of investigating. It's one of the deep state scams. From what I could tell, it was more than the Marshal Service, but it wasn't what Bush allowed to be done in investigating others in government. After 9/11, again, the whole scam was to get what they were doing somehow covered. So 9/11 was a great opportunity to say, hey, we got this program and we can find the bad guys in government. In fact, we know who the bad guys. Yeah, she's part of the behavior program, so I'm not sure if she's part of the real behavior analysis or the scam one. That's how they get around law. They say it's behavioral analysis, it's assessment, and this is a criminal. Because they're doing things to people that you're not allowed to do to people. So they use some sort of bullshit lingo and bullshit behavioral analysis. And again, the idea is what they say in the behavioral analysis backs what they have to do to the person, which includes isolation, psychological torture, and they'll say this is what we have to do to control the person. But of course, it's what's used to cause people to become mass shooters, to become sexualized to the point of acting out sexually and violently. Right. It's looking a little hazier out here, but not much. No, I'm doing great. Again, any psychological issue I have is generated by the deep state. And it's a continual thing. That's the whole scam of the investigation. As soon as they see you heal, oh, we got to investigate that guy. He looks like he's going to jump off and do something with a child. Again, can you imagine using that from law enforcement against innocent people just so you could kill them for money? Millions. They made millions each. But hey, if you don't mind God taking a deputy and sending them to the hereafter, then keep going. Kill your own people by engaging in acts of evil. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.
You are listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.